In the heart of a land kissed by the sun, where ancient spirits whispered through the baobab trees and the earth held secrets older than time, a child was born. Her name was Abeni. A name meaning one who was asked for, and behold, she came. And indeed, she came. But with her, she brought a beauty so profound, so utterly breathtaking, that it carried a shadow darker than any night. From the very moment Abeni drew her first breath, the world around her changed. Not with joy, but with an chilling stillness. The midwife, who had welcomed countless lives into the world, collapsed beside the birthing bed, her eyes wide and unseeing. The kind old grandmother, who had rushed in to bless the newborn, fell silent, her hands frozen midair. In that small, hospital bed, where the miracle of birth should have unfolded, death danced a macabre jig. Doctors, nurses, even curious villagers who peered through the doorway, or who laid eyes upon Abeni's face in those first few moments of her life, simply ceased to be. Their breath caught, their hearts stilled, and their bodies became lifeless vessels. It was as if the sheer, overwhelming force of her beauty was too much for mortal eyes to bear. Only her parents, bound by a love deeper than any ocean, survived the horrifying phenomenon. They held their precious daughter close, their hearts heavy with both boundless affection and an unspeakable terror. They knew, with a certainty that chilled them to their bones, that their child was both a blessing and a terrifying burden. Abeni carried a curse, a power they could not comprehend, a beauty that took life. As Abeni grew, her parents faced an impossible choice. How do you protect a child who is a walking peril? How do you shield the world from a beauty that brings demise? Her mother, a woman of great wisdom and resilience, decided Abeni would know only the confines of their home. No bustling markets, no lively village gatherings, no carefree play with other children. Abeni would be homeschooled, her brilliant mind nurtured in solitude. And brilliant she was. Abeni devoured knowledge like a hungry flame. Books from faraway lands, intricate puzzles, the complex patterns of mathematics, she mastered them all with an effortless grace. Her intellect shone like a beacon, a stark contrast to the profound loneliness that became her constant companion. She longed for the laughter of playmates, the simple joy of an afternoon walk, the warmth of a friend's touch. But she knew the truth, she could never let anyone see her face. Not if she wished for them to live. 18 years passed, and the world outside their secluded home beckoned. Her parents, though still gripped by fear, knew they couldn't keep Abeni hidden forever. The time had come for her to step into the larger world, to embrace the knowledge awaiting her at the esteemed University of Leander, known across the land for its pursuit of learning. But the protection, the veil between Abeni and the world, had to remain. She learned to wrap her face meticulously, layer upon layer of fine cloth, covering every inch of her skin. Only her deep, intelligent eyes, windows to a soul aching for connection, peered out from behind the fabric. Every step she took was cautious, every movement deliberate, a constant dance to keep her secret safe. At the University of Leander, Abeni became a legend of a different kind. Not for her face, which remained a mystery, but for her mind. She soared through her studies, acing every examination, submitting assignments long before her peers, her insights often astounding her professors. Praise flowed, but it meant little to her. Her singular focus was simple: survive the day without bringing harm to another. Yet, a covered face in a world that prized outward appearance was bound to invite curiosity, and sometimes, malice. Whispers followed her like a shadow. Some said she bore terrible scars, others that she practiced dark magic, some even claimed she was an outcast, cursed by the spirits. Among the loudest voices was Zara, a student whose beauty was as undeniable as her arrogance. Zara moved through the university like she owned it, her circle of friends orbiting her like satellites. She thrived on attention and, worse, on belittling anyone she deemed lesser. Abeni, with her quiet mystery, became Zora's new favorite target. One sweltering afternoon, as Abeni walked calmly through the bustling corridors, Zora blocked her path. Her voice, sharp as a viper's tongue, cut through the din. Zora, hey, Abeni. Why the constant disguise? Are you hiding something truly grotesque under there? Her friends giggled, their eyes fixed on Abeni, eager for a spectacle. Abeni stood still, her visible eyes meeting Zora's taunting gaze. She said nothing for a long moment, the silence amplifying the tension. Abeni, believe me, Zora, she finally replied, her voice soft but steady, you truly do not wish to see my true face. Zora scoffed, a sneer twisting her perfectly made-up lips. Zora, oh, come on. If you're not hideous, prove it. Show everyone here what you truly look like. Abeni shook her head slowly, a deep sadness in her eyes that Zora could not comprehend. Abeni, trust me, Abeni whispered, you truly don't want to see. But Zora was relentless. Day after day, her taunts became a cruel rhythm. If you're not scared, take that cloth off your face, she'd jeer, and the laughter of her sycophants would echo through the halls. Abeni ignored them, focusing on her studies, on the internal struggle to remain calm. She knew the danger. She would not let anyone die because of her. One afternoon, as Abeni was on her way to her next lecture, Zora cornered her, her eyes glinting with malicious triumph. Zora, today's the day, Zora declared, her voice laced with wicked anticipation. You're finally going to show everyone if you're not a fright. Prove it. A crowd gathered, drawn by the escalating drama. Abeni looked at Zora, her heart aching. Abeni, if I show you, Abeni said softly, her voice barely audible over the murmurs of the crowd, it will not end well for you. Zora smirked, rolling her eyes in exaggerated disbelief. Sure, whatever you say. You're just too cowardly to reveal your face. Abeni took a deep, shaky breath. How could she explain? How could she make them understand that her face wasn't merely beautiful, it was a force of nature, a harbinger of death? She wanted to speak the truth, to warn them. But she knew Zora wouldn't believe her. So, Abeni turned away, refusing to give in to the bullies' demands. Days bled into weeks, and Zora's mockery continued to sting. You're just scared of being judged, she would shout. Abeni remained silent, her focus unwavering on her academic pursuits. She wouldn't give Zora the satisfaction of a reaction. But the whispers among the other students grew louder, more insistent. Why won't she show her face? Do you think there's something truly wrong with her? Perhaps she is cursed. Among the throng of students was Kola, the most sought-after young man at the university. His charm was legendary, his smile captivating, and nearly every girl secretly wished for his attention. But Kola was a restless spirit, enjoying the chase more than the capture, never truly settling down. Zora, ever the manipulator, saw an opportunity. She decided to use Kola as her pawn in her relentless war against Abeni. One day, during the noisy lunch hour, Zora sauntered up to Kola, her hair shimmering, her smile carefully crafted to charm. Zora, Kola, she purred, sliding into the seat beside him, I need a small favor, something only you can do. Kola raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in his eyes. What now, Zora? Another one of your elaborate schemes. Zora grinned, leaning closer, her voice conspiratorial. Oh, this one is truly ingenious. It's about that strange girl, Abeni. You know, the one who always covers her face. Kola nodded. Yes, I've seen her around. What about her? Zora's eyes gleamed with malicious excitement. I want you to get close to her. Befriend her. Make her trust you. Then, when she finally lets her guard down, perhaps when she's asleep, gently remove her face covering and capture a photograph of her true face. Send it to me. I will handle the rest. Kola frowned, a flicker of discomfort crossing his handsome features. Why do you care so much about her, Zora? She's not harming anyone. Zora rolled her eyes, impatient. She acts as if she's better than everyone else, hiding her face like she possesses some grand secret. I am certain she's utterly hideous beneath that cloth. I want to expose her, to show everyone what she truly conceals. Kola hesitated. He was no stranger to Zora's cruel games, but this felt different. This felt wrong. Yet, Zora had a way of twisting arms, of pressuring people until they gave in. He knew what she wanted. And though a knot of unease tightened in his stomach, he agreed. It would be easy, he thought, to befriend the quiet, friendless Abeni. He began subtly. Sitting near her during lectures, feigning interest in the professor's droning voice. At first, Abeni paid him no mind. She was accustomed to being ignored, or worse, mocked from a distance. But Kola was different. He didn't tease her. He didn't laugh with the others. He simply offered a small, disarming smile. And that made her suspicious. One day, Kola sat beside her in the quiet sanctuary of the library. "Kola, hey," he said, his voice friendly, almost gentle. "You're Abeni, aren't you?" Abeni looked up, her eyes, framed by the cloth, observing him carefully. "Yes," she said slowly. "Is there a problem?" Kola leaned back in his chair, feigning a casual indifference he didn't quite feel. "No problem at all. I've seen you around. You seem interesting. I thought perhaps we could be friends." Abeni frowned. Friends. No one had ever truly wanted to be her friend. Most people avoided her, and those who didn't usually had a cruel jest waiting on their tongues. "Why would you want to be friends with someone like me?" she asked, a raw vulnerability in her tone. Kola chuckled lightly, a practiced, charming sound. "Why not? You're brilliant, and you don't follow the crowd." "That's admirable." Abeni didn't respond. She didn't trust him. How could she? But he didn't seem like the others. He wasn't laughing, wasn't trying to make her feel small. Still, her guard remained firmly in place. Over the next few days, Kola's persistence was unwavering. He would sit beside her during class, walk with her after lectures, and even bring her small, thoughtful gifts, a sweet date, a bottle of refreshing palm wine. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Abeni began to thaw. She started to speak to him, shyly at first, about the ancient tales she loved, about the wonders of science, about the mysteries of the universe. For the very first time, she felt like someone was truly listening. And a tiny, fragile seed of hope began to bloom in her lonely heart. One evening, Kola suggested they study together in her room. "You're so incredibly smart, Abeni," he said, his grin confident. "I could really use your help with some of these complex assignments." Abeni hesitated, a flicker of warning in her mind, but the yearning for connection was stronger. She agreed. Perhaps, just perhaps, she had finally found a friend. She even made him a cup of steaming, fragrant herbal tea when he arrived. Kola smiled as he took the cup, but in his pocket, a small, insidious packet of powder lay hidden. The sleeping draft Zora had given him. As Abeni turned her back to retrieve a heavy textbook, Kola's hand moved swiftly, almost imperceptibly, emptying the powder into her tea. "Kola, here," he said, handing her the cup, his voice steady. "You've earned a break, Abeni." Abeni smiled behind her veil, taking a grateful sip. They talked for a while longer, but soon, her eyelids began to feel heavy, the warmth of the tea and the subtle effects of the drug lulling her. "Abeni, I think I'm getting sleepy," she murmured, stifling a yawn. Kola nodded, feigning concern. "You've been working so hard. Get some rest. I just pack up my books and leave quietly." Abeni lay down on her bed, still clutching the fragile hope that she had found a genuine friend. Within minutes, she was fast asleep, lost in a dreamless slumber. Kola waited, his heart pounding in his chest, until he was certain she wouldn't stir. His hands trembled slightly as he approached her bed. Guilt gnawed at him. Abeni had been nothing but kind, open, and utterly trusting. But Zora's voice, cold and demanding, echoed in his mind, "Take off her face cover and get a photo." Slowly, carefully, Kola reached out. His fingers, usually so steady and confident, now shook as he began to loosen the knots of the cloth. Each layer that unraveled felt heavier than the last, a silent accusation against his deceit. His heart hammered in his chest, a frantic drum against his ribs. He felt a wave of shame wash over him, knowing he was betraying the innocent trust Abeni had placed in him. Finally, the last knot gave way. The cloth fell away, a soft whisper against the silence, revealing Abeni's face. Kola froze. She wasn't ugly. Far from it. Her beauty was unexplainable. It was as if the very essence of the morning sun, the gentle curve of the moon, and the vibrant colors of the most exotic flowers had all converged in a single, perfect form. It wasn't just her features, there was something about her face that drew him in, something ancient and powerful, too profound for mere words. But before the thought could fully form, before he could truly grasp the sheer magnificence before him, a terrifying wave of darkness hit him. It wasn't a physical blow, but something far more insidious, a crushing force that originated deep within her beauty. His chest tightened, a vice gripping his lungs. His vision blurred, color swirling into a distorted canvas. His legs gave out beneath him, trembling and weak. He gasped for air, but his lungs refused to obey, as if the very air had been sucked out of the room. The overwhelming, raw force of her beauty was simply too much for his mortal form to bear. In a matter of seconds, Kola collapsed to the floor. Lifeless. His eyes, once full of charm, now stared blankly at the ceiling, unblinking, unseeing. A few minutes later, Abeni stirred. A deep grogginess clouded her mind, the lingering effect of the sleeping draught. She slowly sat up, her head heavy, and that's when she saw it. Her face covering, lying discarded on the floor. Her heart sank, a cold stone in her stomach. She looked around, and then her gaze fell upon Kola. He lay on the ground, still, unmoving, his eyes wide open, staring into nothingness. Abeni, whispering, terrified, Kola. She scrambled off the bed, crawling towards him. Her hands, trembling, reached out to shake his shoulder, but he remained still. He didn't move. Panic, sharp and icy, filled her chest as the horrifying truth dawned on her. He had seen her face. And now, he was gone. He was dead. Tears, hot and unstoppable, streamed down her face. With trembling fingers, she fumbled for the cloth, tying it back over her head, as if the act could undo what had just happened. Abeni, sobbing, why did you do this, Kola? Why didn't you listen? The muffled sound of her sobs, though quiet, was enough to attract attention from other students in the dorm. Someone, drawn by the unusual quietness or the faint sounds of distress, opened her door. A gasp, then a scream, pierced the air as they saw Kola's lifeless body. Soon, the campus security was called, and then, the familiar wail of police sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder until they stopped abruptly outside her building. Officers, stern-faced and grim, poured into her room. They found Abeni sitting beside Kola's body, her face once again hidden behind the layers of cloth. Officer, voice stern, authoritative, what happened here, young lady? Abeni's voice trembled, barely a whisper. He saw my face. That's all it takes. I didn't mean to hurt him. I warned everyone, but no one ever believes me. The police were bewildered. Some of them had heard whispers, old campus rumors about the girl who always covered her face, dismissing them as mere gossip. Now, confronted with this macabre scene, they didn't know what to think. After interviewing her distraught parents, who painfully recounted the family's ancient curse, and piecing together the fragmented events, they arrived at a perplexing conclusion. Officer 2, quietly to his colleague, this isn't murder. She's not doing this on purpose. It's something else entirely. Video, Abeni is with her parents, looking distraught. Her mother holds her close, offering comfort. Abeni was released later that night, the weight of the day pressing down on her. As her parents held her tightly, offering what little comfort they could, she whispered, her voice raw with grief and despair. Abeni, I don't want to hurt anyone else. Maybe I should just stay away from everyone. Forever. Her mother, Mama Ife, a woman who carried the wisdom of generations in her gentle eyes, sat beside her. Mama Ife, Abeni, my darling, she said softly, you cannot run and hide from the world forever. I know you are scared, a fear no parent should wish upon their child, but you have to keep going. You have worked so hard to reach this point. You cannot surrender now. Abeni looked down, feeling like her world was shattering into a million pieces. Abeni, but Mama, she whispered, tears welling in her eyes, it's so hard. People stare at me, they whisper. They don't understand. What if they see my face again? And something bad happens again. Mama Ife gently took her hand, her touch grounding. I understand your fear, sweetheart. It is a heavy burden, indeed. But you cannot let that stop you. You need to finish your schooling, not just for us, but for yourself. Do not let fear become the master of your life. People may say things, they may stare, but that does not define who you are. You are strong. You have so much good to offer this world. Abeni wiped away a tear, remembering another tormentor. What about Zora? She always tries to make me feel small. She has been bullying me for so long. How do I deal with her? Mama Ife smiled, a knowing glint in her eye, as she brushed Abeni's hair back. You must mind your own path, Abeni. People like Zora will always try to dim the light of others, but you do not have to let her. Do not listen to the words of bullies. Focus on your own journey, and keep your eyes fixed on your goals. You, my child, are the storyteller of your own destiny. Abeni nodded slowly, Mama Ife's words sinking deep into her troubled heart. It wouldn't be easy, she knew. The path ahead was still fraught with peril. But she had to try. Abeni, voice firming, a new resolve, I will try, Mama. I don't want to hide anymore. Mama Ife hugged her tightly, her love a warm embrace. That's my girl. You can do anything you set your mind to. Your papa and I are here for you, every step of the way. The next day, Abeni walked onto the university grounds feeling a strange mix of apprehension and fierce determination. She had made up her mind, she would ignore the bullies, and she would focus on her studies. As she walked through the bustling hallways, she tried to keep her head down, moving quickly towards her first class. But as she entered the library, the quiet hum of concentration was shattered by a familiar, grating voice. Zora. She was there, lounging with her usual group of girls, her laughter sharp and piercing. Zora immediately spotted Abeni, and with a sneer, she stood up, marching towards her. Zora, well, if it isn't Madame Facecover. Zora called out loudly, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Graduation is barely 2 weeks away. Are you finally going to reveal that hideous face under that rag, or will you keep hiding? Or are you simply terrified the entire school will shut down when we all faint from the sheer horror? Abeni looked up slowly, her composure unruffled. She calmly closed her book, a deliberate motion, and stood up, meeting Zora's aggressive glare with her own steady, sharp gaze. Students began to gather around them, sensing another unfolding drama. Abeni smirked, a faint, almost imperceptible curve of her lips, and folded her arms. Abeni, thank the spirits, graduation is finally here, she said, her voice surprisingly relaxed. After all these years, Zora, you're finally leaving this school. I was beginning to think you were planning to live here forever, perhaps as a permanent fixture in the cafeteria. A ripple of laughter spread through the students gathered around. Zora's face instantly flushed a deep, angry red, but Abeni wasn't finished. Abeni, let me guess, Abeni continued, her voice even, you must have charmed, or perhaps, convinced most of the lecturers to get to this point. It's the only logical explanation for why someone like you is finally graduating after being here since the very first drumbeat of time, since the dinosaurs walked this earth. The crowd erupted into louder, unrestrained laughter. Zora's jaw dropped in shock, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. But before she could formulate a retort, Abeni raised a single finger, silencing her. Abeni, and don't even pretend you're some privileged daughter of wealth, Zora, Abeni added, her voice calm but cutting, like a horn blade. Everyone here knows your parents are struggling in a small village, toiling under the sun, while you're here, parading around, pretending to be something you're not. Zora's friends exchanged awkward glances, some of them whispering nervously to each other, shifting their weight, uncomfortable under the sudden spotlight of truth. Abeni took a step closer, her voice dropping slightly, but carrying immense power. Abeni, oh, and let's not forget, Abeni added, the final blow, your so-called big girl lifestyle. Everyone knows you've been entertaining certain sugar daddies to fund it. You're nothing but a fake, Zora. A poor girl pretending to be rich, bullying others to hide your own deep insecurities. Pathetic. The students could no longer hold back. The laughter was uncontrollable now, a roaring wave that consumed the library. Some were whispering to each other about Zora's rumored patrons, others were openly recording the spectacular scene on their phones, eager to capture the bully's public humiliation. Zora's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of pure rage and burning humiliation. Zora, screaming, voice cracking, you don't know what you are talking about. You think you're better than me because of that face cover. You're nothing, Abeni. Nothing. Abeni merely shrugged, her posture radiating an unshakable confidence. Abeni, if I'm nothing, she replied calmly, her voice echoing with the truth, then what does that make you, Zora? A jealous, bitter little girl who cannot stand to see someone else's light shine. Good luck with your patrons, Zora. Perhaps one of them will finally help you by a clue. Zora couldn't take it anymore. Her face burning with shame, she spun around and stormed off, pushing through the laughing crowd, desperate to escape. Her friends hesitated, some of them sneaking away, clearly eager to avoid being associated with her public downfall. As Zora disappeared from view, the students around Abeni clapped and cheered, a spontaneous eruption of approval. Student 1, finally. Someone put her in her place. Student 2, that was legendary, Abeni. Abeni simply picked up her book, gave them a small, dignified nod, and walked away, her head held high, the whispers of admiration a stark contrast to the mockery she had endured for so long. A week later, the university buzzed with new excitement. A strikingly handsome young man named Chak arrived, and from the moment he stepped onto the school grounds, every eye turned. His tall, athletic build, confident smile, and kind eyes made him stand out like a beacon. Abeni heard the whispers as she walked through the halls, girls were already daydreaming about him. When Zora first saw Chak, her eyes lit up with avarice. She turned to her friends, a determined glint in her gaze. Zora, I must have him. He's perfect. Her friends mumbled agreement, but some rolled their eyes, tired of Zora's constant need for male attention. The next day, Zora, radiating false sweetness, approached Chak in the hallway. Zora, hey, Chak, she purred, flipping her hair. You're new here, right? How about we become friends? I can show you around. Chak, however, didn't even glance at her. He simply kept walking, completely ignoring her. Zora's smile faltered, and her friends stifled giggles. She, Zora, had been rejected. Zora, muttering, indignant, he's just playing hard to get. Don't worry, I'll get him. This is how men are at first. They pretend not to care. Her friends weren't convinced, but Zora continued, her voice gaining confidence. I'm not giving up. I know what I'm doing. If he doesn't come to me, I'll make him. I use my money. From his looks, he's probably not from a rich family. I bet if I offer him what he wants, he'll change his mind. Her friends exchanged doubtful glances, but said nothing. Soon, something unexpected happened. Chak began to notice Abeni. He found her genuinely friendly, deeply intelligent, and remarkably kind. He loved talking to her during breaks, drawn by her sharp mind and quiet grace. Soon, they became close friends. Abeni was always happy to help him with his schoolwork, and Chak truly appreciated her clear explanations. The more he got to know her, the more he admired her. Not everyone was happy about their growing friendship. Chak's friends couldn't understand why he spent so much time with the veiled outsider. They warned him to stay away, saying she wasn't the right kind of person for him. But Chak didn't listen. He liked Abeni, and that was all that mattered. Zora, of course, soon discovered that Chak and Abeni were spending a lot of time together. When she heard, she was furious. The handsome boy she had tried so hard to impress was now drawn to the one person she despised most. Zora's jealousy boiled over, and she stormed up to Abeni. Zora, you think you're so clever, don't you? Zora snapped, confronting Abeni. You witch, using your tricks to steal my man. Abeni let out a short, sharp laugh, shaking her head. Abeni, your man, she retorted, crossing her arms, her eyes fixed on Zora. Someone who doesn't even know you exist. Keep dreaming, Zora. For your information, Chak and I are just friends. We are not, and never will be, dating. Zora's face turned bright red with rage. Don't act like you're better than me, she hissed. You don't belong in this school. You're nothing but a freak who hides behind that cloth. Abeni stood tall, unfazed. I'm not here to play games or chase relationships like you, she said calmly. I'm here to study, and that's what I focus on. Unlike you, who waste all your time trying to impress boys and be popular. You're the most foolish girl I've ever met. Zora's eyes widened in shock. She had never expected Abeni to stand up to her like this. But Abeni continued, unwavering. Abeni, I'm not ashamed of who I am. You should be ashamed, though. Instead of focusing on your studies, you've been in this school forever and still haven't graduated. Maybe if you spent more time in class and less time trying to impress boys, you might actually finish. Zora stood silent for a moment, then scoffed. You're just jealous because I'm popular and you're a nobody. Abeni, I'm not jealous of you, Zora. I'm focused on my future. Something you should try doing for once? Zora had nothing left to say. Frustrated and defeated, she turned and stormed off. Abeni stood for a moment, her heart racing. She had stood up for herself. She had spoken her truth, and it felt good. Later that day, Abeni spoke to her mother about the upcoming graduation. She wanted to look elegant, to finally shed the veil. Her mother, Mama Ife, reminded her of the ancient prophecy: the curse would only break when she found someone who truly loved her, not for her appearance, but for who she truly was. Abeni felt a pang of despair. How could she make anyone love her? What if she was always alone? Mama Ife, voice gentle but firm, my dear, it's not something you can rush. The right person will come when the time is right. Focus on your studies, your future. Do not worry about love now. Abeni nodded, comforted, yet still troubled. She wanted a life free from hiding. She told her mother about Chike, her kind friend, knowing she couldn't let him get too close. Mama Ife simply smiled. Mama Ife, it's good you have a friend like Chike. But remember, your friendship doesn't have to be more. Focus on yourself. Do not let anyone pressure you. Zora doesn't understand you, Abeni. She seeks attention in the wrong places. Do not let her pull you down. You are worth far more than anything she could ever offer. Abeni looked at her mother, a flicker of hope in her eyes. You are perfect just the way you are, Abeni. And when the time comes, the right person will love you for who you truly are. Zora, still desperate to win Chike over, tried everything: tight dresses, exaggerated confidence, even feigning a need for academic help. But Chike wasn't interested. One day, she cornered him near the cafeteria. Zora, Chike, she could, why waste your time with that face-covering girl? You and I could be the hottest couple in school. Chike sighed, clearly annoyed. Chike, Zora, please. Stop embarrassing yourself. I don't like you, and I never will. You're always chasing boys, causing drama, thinking you're better than everyone. It's pathetic. The words hit Zora like a slap. She froze, humiliated. Students nearby whispered. Zora, for once, had no comeback. She turned and stormed off, face burning. Later that evening, Chike found Abeni sitting under her favorite tree on campus. Chike, Abeni, he said softly, sitting beside her. Abeni, confused, what's wrong? Chike, nothing's wrong. I just need to tell you something. I've been thinking about it for a while. Abeni raised an eyebrow. What is it? Chike, I love you, Abeni, he said, his voice steady, full of genuine emotion. I don't care about your face cover, or what people say about you. You're kind, smart, and unlike anyone I've ever met. I don't need to see your face to know how special you are. Abeni's heart raced. Chike, you say that now? But what if I'm ugly? What if what's under this cover is something you can't handle? Chike, I don't care, Chike said firmly. You're perfect to me, no matter what. He invited her to his place that weekend. Abeni hesitated, but finally agreed. At Chike's apartment, they talked for hours, laughing and sharing stories, growing even closer. As the evening deepened, Chike leaned in and kissed her gently. For the first time, Abeni felt truly cherished. She allowed herself to relax, leaning into his warmth. In that moment of shared vulnerability, as Jack gently adjusted his position, his hand accidentally brushed her face cover. It slipped off. Abeni gasped, pulling away, her hands flying to cover her face. Abeni, crying, "Not again. I can't let this happen again. You're going to die, Jack." But Jack didn't move. He didn't flinch. He simply looked at her, his eyes full of awe, then profound kindness. "Jack, Abeni," he said, his voice a soothing balm, "nothing's happening to me. I am fine." Abeni slowly lowered her hands, tears still falling, but now mixed with confusion. She stared at Jack in disbelief. "Abeni, but everyone who sees my face, they die." Jack, smiling gently, "Not me. I told you, Abeni. I love you. Truly. Maybe that's why the curse doesn't affect me." Abeni couldn't believe it. Joy, overwhelming and pure, flooded her. She launched herself into his arms, hugging him tightly, her tears now tears of sheer, blissful relief. When Abeni got home that night, she rushed to her mother, her voice trembling with disbelief and joy. "Abeni, Mama," she cried. "Jack saw my face. And nothing happened to him. He's alive. He loves me. I think the curse is broken." Mama Ife's eyes filled with tears of happiness. She embraced Abeni, holding her close. "Mama Ife, my darling. I have waited for this day. You have found someone who truly loves you, someone whose heart is pure. And now, you are free. Free from the curse. The spirits have answered our prayers." The next day, Abeni went to school with a newfound sense of confidence, radiating a quiet strength. For the first time in her life, she decided to walk in without her face covered. As she stepped onto the school grounds, heads turned. Whispers erupted. "Student 1, is that Abeni?" "Student 2, she's breathtaking." All the students were astonished. Zora, who had just walked out of the cafeteria, froze when she saw Abeni, her mouth agape. Zora, voice dripping with disbelief and raw envy, this is what you've been hiding." Abeni simply smiled, calmly. "Abeni, yes, Zora. This is me." Surprised. "Maybe next time, you'll think twice before judging someone you don't know." The students clapped and cheered for Abeni, a wave of admiration washing over the campus. For the first time, Abeni felt truly free. Free from the curse, free from judgment, and finally, free to live her life as her beautiful, true self. Dear viewers, what profound lessons did you take away from Abeni's dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. If you found inspiration in this story of true love, inner beauty, and overcoming adversity, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button to join our storytelling family. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching, and may your path always be blessed.